Hey guys, welcome to TRF1, where we three mates waffle on Formula One. Today we have with us ABD and Shaq, also known as Smooth Operator there. We're going to be doing a small review on the Italian Grand Prix, which we just finished on Sunday. As you all know, it was one of the good races, not the best, but then best for Ferrari, I guess. But you know, Ferrari's over here. I've changed teams now. So I'm gonna ask you guys directly, how good was the race? Like, what do you rate it? I'm gonna go with uh Shaq.
Uh, I would go out of 10, I would give it a 7. Just
Seven.
because, yeah, just because, like, we knew we got a good fight for the win,
Hmm.
especially at the end, like the last, maybe 10 laps. We were like, oh, is Piastri going to catch Leclerc or is Leclerc going to hold him off? And we got our answer, but,
Yeah.
uh, it wasn't like a lot of wheel to wheel, just,
Uh-huh.
but like a good amount still. So I would give it a 7, yeah.
Seven. What about you, Abdul?
Yeah, I've given it 8 out of 10. I think the only thing that was missing in the race was like safety cars. Uh, but
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
you had like teams on multiple strategies. So one stop and two stop, obviously how Leclerc won. You had overtakes, one of the best overtakes of the season by Oscar Piastri, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, and then few crashes, like people were, actually doing bump cars. Daniel Ricciardo into Hulkenberg,
Yeah.
Magnussen into I don't know how many drivers. There were so many.
Still he finished in the points though. Still he finished in the points.
Somehow, somehow.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm
So
gonna give it a seven though. I'm gonna give
you're
it a
going to give it
seven.
a 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seven. The race was good. But to be honest, the first couple of laps has been amazing. You know, like Abdul, you said, Norris's downfall over there from the turn one, technically turn two this time, but then Piastri, oh my God, he was so good. He
Yeah.
didn't care about anything. He just went. He just went and took it away from him.
Sorry, just to stop you there. It's
Yeah.
technically turn 4.
Turn four.
Is it
Yeah,
turn 4? I thought it was
it's
turn
turn
3.
4. So the first turn is actually 1 and 2. Uh,
1,
Oh,
2, and then the curve, and
yeah.
curve. Yeah,
then
exactly,
and
exactly. Yeah.
then turn 4, yeah.
Yeah, it was too good, but it was too good. Didn't expect that to happen. That too from there.
Yeah, yeah.
It just went throughout. Like you don't
Yeah,
expect
it
something
was
like that
pretty
to
smooth.
happen.
I liked how smooth it was. I was very shocked at the
Yeah, I don't
time.
know if you remember, this was back in the day when Seb Vettel and Hamilton was racing. So
The
Seb
fighting.
Vettel was on Ferrari. Hamilton
Uh,
overtook Vettel on the same corner, but Vettel spun. He didn't
Spun
touch
right.
anything. He just spun at that corner. So it reminded me of
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Abdu, are you saying that Piastri is gonna be the next Hamilton like this? Are you implying something like that?
yeah. I think he's a strong driver. Yeah, and I think we will talk about it in a few minutes. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's two number ones in McLaren.
two
That's
number ones.
the
I think
That's
that's
what
what the
they said.
contract said.
That's what they said. That's what Zach Brown said. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So Ferrari win and Leclerc is on fire. What do you guys think? Abdul, I'm gonna ask you for that.
Yeah, I think he was the real tire whisperer. I think better
Hmm?
than George. We know
Joe?
what happened with George
yeah,
in
maybe.
Spa, the weight in the car, weight and all of that. But this one, if you think about it, Carlos Sainz pitted after Charles Leclerc. Uh,
Hmm.
Norris still overtook Sainz. He had fresher tire than
Yep.
Charles.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable, how smooth his drive was, saving that tires for almost 38 laps.
Oh,
That was insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
like he did a beautiful job, well ahead. The tires on McLaren were actually degrading. Like, if I'm not wrong, no, Piastri was talking about his friend left being degraded. If I'm not sure, friend left, so
yeah,
they had to pit him. But then Ferrari has done a beautiful job, but initially they did some mistakes, like getting undercut by Norris and everything, and how furious Leclerc was.
yeah.
Shaq, what do
I
you think about
think
the race? Do you agree
yeah, yeah.
Ferrari
I
to win
think
and Leclerc on fire with us?
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. I think Ferrari, um, I think Leclerc more than Ferrari was just driving really well. Like
Yeah.
Ferrari had the car this time. That was
Hmm.
good to see. It's
Hmm.
been a while since we've said that, but um, I think when I was watching the race, I said uh, that I agree with Charles. He said, "Why did we box so early? Why did we box straight after them?
Yeah,
Because we've
true.
been undercut. We need to try and do something different so that we can, battle against them." Whether it was an undercut, I mean, not an undercut, an overcut and do a one stop,
Hmm.
or just two stop, but like do it in a different time of the race, like pit at a different time.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree. I
so
agree.
I think like Ferrari should have pitted a lot later than they did, probably like around lap early 20s maybe, because they pitted him around lap 15.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If they had pitted Charles like a bit before halfway, he would have had like a very easy time looking after the tires and staying ahead of Piastri instead
Yeah,
of how it was much closer.
yeah, true.
Um, Obviously
But then,
for the spectacle, I think Leclerc being like having like it was being so close,
hmm
um, it was good. But like for a strategic point, I think Ferrari should have pitted him later because if he did, he would have been a lot more comfortable. He would have won by probably a few more seconds.
yeah, true.
Um, yeah.
He finished at what? Piastri was 2.6 seconds behind. Yeah,
Yeah,
2
not a lot. Like it was
No,
cut down a
he,
lot.
he did
He had a lot of
cut down
work
a
to
lot.
do.
If they had like a couple more laps, I think Piastri would have overtook Charles,
I
especially on
Oh
the
think
better.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
For
also
sure, for sure.
think the key to all of it was how close Charles stayed to McLaren at the start of the race.
Ah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought he was gonna fall off actually
Right. I
after
know.
a little bit.
I would say after the first pit stop, after the first pit stop, because they got themselves undercut. Then Leclerc actually fought the race back for Ferrari. He did a brilliant job. I
yeah,
totally agree
Yeah, yeah.
to that. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
Imagine both wins, Monza and Monaco. He's won at two home grounds.
yeah. It has
He's
been one of those
absolutely on
seasons
fire.
with so many special wins for so many
Yeah.
drivers.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah,
Different drivers, different wins. It's good. Totally
yeah.
agree.
Man, I have to
Speaking
say,
of,
Monza has one of the best podiums. It was an ocean of red, and I have seen Leclerc. I think he won in 2019.
Yeah,
yeah,
19.
2019,
In
2019, yeah.
Monza, beating Hamilton, but the crowd for this race on that podium, the start finish straight was like you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see where it was ending. It was just like
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
True, true,
Like
true.
here in
Do you guys
Melbourne.
know that? Do you guys know that after Vettel, he comes second for the most finishes, along with other people as well. But then, sorry, about just below Schumacher. Schumacher has 5 wins in Monza.
oh, so he got
Yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, now he's got two. So I think he's got the chance to beat the record set by Schumacher.
Yeah,
3 more races, he'll equal it. And the fourth one is going to break it. We have
yeah,
seen that happening with
That's
most of the records. Hamilton has been breaking it. We can see him do it
that
as well.
depends on how good Ferrari is, I think, though, is doesn't it? Like
Hey, for the next couple of years.
yeah, yeah. For
Exactly.
sure. I think,
Talking of Ferrari, I think we touched on this in the preview as well. They bought 9 upgrades to the car.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's this FIA page that you can follow that shows the number of
Yeah,
upgrades
I've seen that. I've seen that.
yeah,
Yeah.
car brings. And they bought 9, and every other team's like 2 or 3 upgrades. I don't know
yeah. They
if
I
put
think
all the
all of their
documents out.
upgrades. Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know if
their
all of
upgrades
those.
actually worked this time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
They
it
had no
can stay
issues.
like that for the next races as well, so we get a 3 or 4 way race in the coming races.
Hmm.
Speaking of Ferrari and everything, who do you think had the best drive and the worst?
Uh, for
Shaq,
for the entire race, or
the best race, best drive for this race. Shaq.
Probably, yeah, we have to go Ferrari and Charles. They were the best team and the
Mm-hmm.
best. He was the best driver for sure.
Best drive.
I
Okay.
think. I mean, we've already talked about Charles, but I think Piastri definitely deserves a mention.
Yeah, I have my best
This,
drive for Piastri, to be honest.
yeah, this race kind of made me see like um McLaren's problems with like Piastri's actually not as far behind as Norris as we thought. In fact, I don't think he is
Yeah.
behind him at all. I think he's just as good now.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good.
I agree. Yeah.
Because I would say after Piastri overtook Norris on the race,
Mhm.
um, he was probably quicker. He was faster because he had like 3 point something seconds
Yeah,
to
Norris actually,
Lando.
after he's lost positions, he's been nothing. I think he had like he didn't have the worst drive of his this race, but then he did lose P1. So
He definitely
that,
didn't
that,
have one
that
of his better ones. Yeah.
yeah,
So
true, true.
like the thing was like Piastri was closer to Leclerc than
Hmm.
Norris was to Piastri. So that says something, right? Like
Yeah,
I know
true.
that there's different strategies, but Piastri just showing like he's that good.
He's
And
that good. Yeah, he's also a number one
um
driver.
I mean we'll talk about McLaren, but I think they got to do a better job of managing them.
Yeah, true. I agree. I agree. What about Abdul?
Yeah, for me, Charles as well, the best
Charles
driver.
is okay.
Yeah, one-stop strategy, executing perfectly. The time
Hmm.
is for making Ferrari win in Monza. There's nothing bigger than that for the Tifosis.
Yeah, true, true, true. The Tifosi, yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be Leclerc, the best drive. Yeah, I would say Oscar comes second as well. Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, probably Lando third. So that's my driver rating for this race. How about you, Hamza?
Right. I'm gonna go for Piastri.
Okay, interesting.
I think none of us actually gave him the chance for this
Mm.
race. We
No,
were,
we actually should make an apology right now. But
yeah, we are sorry, Piastri. We are
we are
sorry
sorry.
because we actually underestimated Piastri. Even though he was on the first row, we actually underestimated him. We none of us put him in the podiums or the best race or anything. For me personally, he's got the best drive. Like the overtake, for example, and everybody's going to be talking about the overtake, but then after that, he's been consistent. He's been building up the second, by second over Leclerc as well. The only thing that ruined his race was the strategy call.
Yeah, yeah,
If he had a better strategy, he would have actually taken the win from Ferrari.
yeah.
Like,
Since you mentioned Oscar, I think we should talk about McLaren, right?
yeah, definitely, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
let's
I've got
talk
something.
about the
I have
shambles.
something. The papaya rule. That's
Yeah,
the first time I've heard in the race. What
that
is
that
papaya rule?
that's a talking point. Papaya rules. Everyone was hooked on that terminology for
Exactly, exactly.
the
Come on.
entire race.
How can they bring something like that towards the end of the
Now,
race?
now, why would you do it
Exactly,
now?
exactly. I mean,
Why would
towards
you
the
do
end
it
of the
now?
season. Why do you
We
want to
got
bring
we
something
got
like
eight
that?
races left, and we're doing this
They've got
now.
8 races left. They've got a driver championship on their hand. They've got a constructors. They've got Red Bull ahead and Max ahead for both. They've got Ferrari right behind for their drivers' championship. How can McLaren do something like this, you know, within, a couple of races left? Like, that's crazy.
I think there is one thing though, and this is a bit similar to like the race in Belgium, so
Hmm.
Spa,
Hmm.
when we were all thinking, okay, Lewis is gonna win, Russell's gonna pit again,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
true, 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 true.
um, pretty much we all got caught out, and Russell decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay
Yeah.
out instead after
Do a pit
doing the
stop.
first stop. I think this is like similar to that because McLaren pitted twice, and they were like, you know what, Charles is gonna pit again, but
Yeah,
then. That's when we see, okay, Ferrari realize, okay, we may as well stay out because we can't lose anything from this.
yeah, I agree, I
If
agree,
we
agree.
stay out, we get overtaken or we get the win, which they did, and it paid off.
Paid
Or
off,
if
paid
we
off.
box, we come out in front of the Mercedes and Red Bulls.
Yeah. But then,
So
like,
for Ferrari, there was nothing to lose, right? They were behind.
McLaren, to be honest, see, I think they underestimated Ferrari this race. Bringing out a papaya rule. It's a good thing. Making both the drivers race against each other. That's actually a really good thing. Like, you can actually get most out of both the drivers. But then towards the end of the season, like, I think that's not a good thing. Abdul, do
So
you have a say to this?
yeah, I have my theory on this. So
Uh-huh.
you know who Oscar Piastri's manager is, right?
Yeah,
Who is it?
I have
Mark
no idea.
Mark
Mark
Webber.
Webber,
It's
Mark
Mark
Oh,
Webber,
Webber.
oh,
yeah.
oh.
Mark
Yeah.
Webber had I don't know if you remember, but he used to be like the second driver at Red Bull,
Mark Webber was a victim of
being a second driver. Yeah,
Vettel and Red Bull's
correct. So,
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I
so
saw. I saw an interview of Mark Webber. About in Red Bull. During his time, where he
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
furious on something like this.
yeah, so
He
He
was he
doesn't like
was
to
he
be
was really
he doesn't
open
like
about
to
it.
be the second driver.
yeah,
Yeah, he was open about it. He would just tell, even on the podium when they did the interviews back in the day, he would say, "Oh, they gave Seb the benefit over me."
correct, correct.
He would
Yeah.
literally say it.
Yeah, so my theory is there is a clause in Oscar's contract that says doesn't matter how close the other driver is to the championship, doesn't matter
Uh-huh.
what race it is, there is they will be allowed to race in every race. Like the teammates will be allowed to race regardless.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That
and
is a
I
good
think
thing. But then,
what's going to happen is let's say McLaren breaks that rule or that clause, he will be gone.
Oscar's
And
out.
I'm
Oscar's
sure.
going.
Yeah, and
uh,
Mark Webber has great ties with Red Bull. I see Oscar Piastri in a Red Bull car if that happens. So that's
I
my
don't want to. I don't
thing.
think. I think the problem. Like I agree with you. Totally agree with you. But I think the problem with that is why would he leave a good car now? Like I know we were saying this about Max earlier this year. We were saying why would you go to Mercedes? But
mhm.
now Red Bull are bad,
Yeah, Red Bull
which
too
we'll
bad.
get
Red Bull too
into.
bad.
But now that Red Bull are bad, now you can say, okay, maybe Max should consider going to Mercedes. But like right now, McLaren have been getting better and better, and I think they're only going to keep getting better.
Yeah,
So depending on, of course, how long they like keep Oscar and Norris as two number one drivers, I
yeah.
think that also like determines if Oscar's staying. I mean, I don't think Oscar would leave, but like in case of it happening, would
Hmm.
he really want to leave like a championship winning car? Because that's what the McLaren is right now. They've been the
Yeah,
best car for most
it
of
is
the
a
year.
champion winning car. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been the best.
Speaking of championship car, McLaren being the championship car, do you think the papaya rule is a McLaren fumble? It's gonna create an inter-team battle now, like something we have seen between Rosberg and Hamilton during their days. Is it gonna happen like that in McLaren? What do you guys think about, like, Abdul?
I think so. Yeah, I see that coming. if they don't put like team orders in place.
Hmm.
That's coming soon. And
Coming soon, yeah.
I don't know if you have seen any of the interviews with Nico Rosberg in this race.
Hmm.
He was so like cutthroat with his questions to Zach Brown.
Zach Brown. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I love
I saw that.
Rosberg
I
in
saw
live
that
Yeah.
interview.
sports.
The debrief room was, like the driver, like, just before you get it, like get in the podium, like,
The cool down room. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, cool.
yeah.
The intensity in that room when Leclerc walked in. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Leclerc, it's
mean,
like
like
Leclerc
they
walked
can't
into
be mad
some.
at Leclerc. They should only be
No,
mad at
no,
their own
no, not
team,
a
right?
Leclerc. Like the room, between Pierre, there were, like, sparks between
Yeah, yeah.
Norris
Between
and
Norris
Pierre.
and Piastri, there
You
definitely
can see
was.
that in
Yeah,
the cool down room.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Charles probably split it up, if anything.
Exactly, exactly.
I think I think the papaya rule isn't the problem. Like it is a problem, but it's not the problem. Um like this is like something they've been doing for a while now, I feel like. I feel
Exactly.
like let's take the prime example is Hungary.
Mm, mm, mm,
All
mm,
of that chat to Norris live on the radio saying you need to give Oscar the position, you need him to win the championship, you need this, you need that, blah blah blah. That was bad. That was a bad look for McLaren. And that made Oscar's win look bad,
Yeah.
mm.
right? Like that took away the really good element of Oscar winning.
Yeah.
So I think they should have like that was the early sign of like, okay, you gotta pull it together. We gotta be more strict on our rules and stuff. But I think even like this race, with the Leclerc like staying out thing, I think it was more of a surprise. And just in the way, Hamilton felt really bad at the time about finishing second. Um, obviously getting the win later, but at the time he felt like he should have won, right?
Yeah.
In Spa. And so I think this is the same thing. It's like I don't think the strategy was bad. It's just they didn't see this one stop coming. And so it looked really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the one stop was actually really good. One stop was actually really good by Ferrari.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was a
Yeah.
great strategy. I
So it,
think
it, it
most
was
teams
it
should have
was the
done it.
least expected one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we've been talking about McLaren's best race. Ferrari has been in a beautiful race. Let's talk about the Red Bull downfall.
Let's talk about
Shaq.
the other side.
Yeah, talk about the other side. We would have Red Bull in P1, P2, P3. We don't see them in top five, to be honest. What do you think, Shaq? Like, what do you think about the Red Bull downfall right now?
Uh, I mean, like, where to start? I mean, like, if Max Verstappen isn't able to pull a car out of like just being bad,
Hmm.
that's saying something. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, I think it was Checo. Checo was talking about it. He was saying, I've been having this problem for the last 8 to 10 races, and
yeah, and
only
finally,
now
finally,
is Max having the same problem.
exactly,
And
exactly.
I think one is like we'll talk about Checo later, but
Yeah.
Checo's just worse as well. But also the other thing is Max has been winning races. Max has
Yeah.
been making the most of having a good car at those weekends. Like if you want to let's look at two really good examples was Spain and what was the other one? Spain and I don't know. There was one more race before that. Imola, Spain and Imola. Norris was
Oh,
chasing Verstappen at the end of both of those races,
oh, yeah, true, true.
and so like the difference in those races was the start. Max making good starts, making the most of how good the car was on one tire set, and then he'd have to fight the second set
Yep.
even if they were bad, he'd still manage to win, right? Like that was because he had a car and he was able to make use of that car being good. Like if you want to
Exactly.
really look at it, Norris should have won both of those races because
Exactly.
the McLaren was quicker.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Shaq, but then Abdul, I would like to hear your point of view as well.
Yeah, I was wondering, how did this happen? How did Red Bull go back to seventh and eighth after,
Yeah,
in a matter of 2 to 3 races?
I
And a
agree. I
lot of
agree.
rumors about this brake rules that got changed, and that would have impacted Red Bull's performance. And I think that's one of the factors. But at the same time, um, yeah, I know Red Bull wanted Checo to be close to Max, but I don't think this is what they were looking for. Now he's close to Max.
True, true, true.
But yeah,
Speak, speaking
And
of Red
even
Bull's downfall, like my worst team for this race was Red Bull.
yeah, same.
You say, oh, even
Exactly.
you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
same, same. No,
Abdul, what?
one thing about Checo was like even though he was even though they were 6 and 8 or 7 and 8 or whatever it was, even
Mhm.
then he was still like 10, 12 seconds behind
10,
him.
12 seconds, exactly, exactly.
So
George
yeah.
You
Russell,
know,
George Russell had to change the wing.
even though Russell came
Yeah,
down
and
below
he
him,
finished in
overtook him.
front of him.
Yeah, he finished in
Exactly.
front of Perez. He finished in front of Perez. Abdul, what's your worst team drive? I mean, worst driving team for this
Yeah, for
race?
me, again, Red Bull and Perez.
Red
Uh,
Bull and Perez. I've gone for like Red Bull and George, to be honest.
I
yeah,
gone Ricardo and Red Bull.
Ricardo and Red Bull. Like,
Yeah.
why Ricardo? Why Ricardo?
Ricardo, I mean, look, there's not that much to say. Okay.
Hmm.
I want him to do well. Let's just make that clear. But
Hmm.
I think the contact with Hulkenberg was silly from someone who has that much experience. And
Yeah,
he's raced at Monza so many times. I don't know why that would even come across like why that problem would happen. If it
yeah,
was Sonoda, I can see why how that happened. But this is
hmm,
Ricardo, right? This is the
yeah,
guy that like, you know, I mean, 6 years ago, it's a long time now, but he was destroying people when they would race at like Monaco and when he was
exactly.
at Red Bull,
Yeah,
he was
he
something
he
else. But
he was something else. He was something else. Now
um,
no, you went with Ricardo, but I went with Russell, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
come on, he had a P3. He then went way below. Like, in fact, like Perez actually overtook him until he got his place back. But then that was one of the worst drives, Russell's been doing. In fact, for the past 5 races, Russell has not been performing. You
that
know,
I agree with. Yeah, I agree with
either his
that.
bad luck, he's got a DNF for the one he won, or like even though he's been getting higher qualifying than Hamilton, but then towards when it comes to races, he just loses out.
Yeah, he lost it in turn one.
Exactly, exactly. Again, like I think he's following Norris's footsteps here. Turn one
Not
So,
quite the
incident.
same, but
so
yeah,
here's some facts for you guys. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone have checked this, but after the Dutch Grand Prix, everyone was talking about how far like Verstappen and Leclerc finished behind Norris. It was like 22 seconds.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Okay.
20.8, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, let me tell you how many seconds Verstappen finished behind Leclerc in this race. 37 seconds.
37
Ooh.
seconds.
Yep.
but
No,
that
but
is
then,
with what
but,
that's
but
with
then,
one stop
but,
less.
Yes.
but then, the other one, the 22.8 seconds was between P1 and P2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
P1, P2. But
Yeah,
this is actually closer. Leclerc winning was actually closer. So like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
Yes.
But
If
that's
you
also to strategy and
No,
stuff. So
yeah,
I'm talking about how far behind Red Bull have has fallen
yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah, no,
from the top.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So shouldn't Checo be thriving now with a worse car? He seems to be good in bad cars, but bad in good cars.
Let's hope
Ah,
so. I don't think so, but let's hope so.
I,
Neither. Not if it's a Red Bull.
not sure. Like, Abdul, with yours, I think worst driver is Perez. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Perez. Like I said,
Why do you think Perez had a worst drive?
um, George Russell, he had
Hmm.
a long pit
Yeah.
stop with a wing change.
Yeah, true.
He still finished behind Russell. He finished behind Hamilton and Verstappen. Yeah, and if you think about it, okay, let's say they're top 14s, right? And he's the
Hmm.
last driver on that
Yeah,
top
true.
14. So
Within the top four teams, he's the last ever. True, I agree.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
That's
think
where,
we, yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
think we
where I
all have. I'm sorry, Shaq. Please.
yeah, that's where I was gonna say I don't agree with the Russell thing. I think Russell did better than you think because
No.
Perez, like we said, Russell finished ahead
Yeah,
by like 12 seconds after also having to change his wing.
true. But then
Obviously due to the problem at the start. That was his fault, yeah? Let's not get
that was
that.
he
Yeah.
after say, come on, he had he was in the second row. Then he went back.
Yeah,
If
but even I think you could say like Hamilton, he wasn't great either. I'd say Russell
no,
and Hamilton were pretty
but
much the
he didn't
same.
lose position. He didn't lose position, nor he gained position. He just gained
No, yeah,
position.
yeah. He
Russell went
gained
back.
due to Russell's problems.
Russell. So I wouldn't say he see. I would say the same for Sainz as well. Even for Max, all three of them had the same race, apart from the top three.
Yeah. So I think the only difference was that Russell had the
Russell,
incident at the
yeah.
start.
So,
Otherwise, I
so
feel like they were all pretty much the
overall, I
same.
think Russell going to P3 was was the worst thing Mercedes could have for that race. From
No,
P3 to
I think P3 was
P7.
unrealistic for the Mercedes. I think the Ferrari was quicker anyway.
No, but still, we could have seen a fight. This one, he just let it go. He just went ahead, swooped in to try to get the lead from both of them, but
Yeah.
then,
But like let's look at like Hamilton, right? He had better race pace than Russell,
yeah,
but he couldn't catch Sainz. So I
yeah,
don't
sure.
think it would have mattered. I think Russell would have been overtaken anyway at some point.
Yeah, I do agree with to that, but then but even if you got overtook by Ferrari, and he would still be somebody, but he just went way behind again,
Yeah,
too
no,
behind.
I can see your thinking, but I feel like personally I would put Russell in the bad category.
Yeah, true. I think we all have the best stream as Ferrari and the
As
worst stream as
Ferrari,
Red Bull.
I'll say one thing right now. I did
Yeah.
amazing in the predictions.
Oh yeah.
You
You got me this time.
overestimated Norris completely, and you were like, "Oh, Leclerc's not gonna win." During the race, you're like, "Oh, Leclerc's not
Did you
gonna
pray
win."
did you pray to Saint Leclerc this time? I think you have a bot to
No,
Saint Leclerc
I
like
just
around.
I just used my big brain, and I got it
Yeah.
right. It was my only prediction right on the podium, but it was a good prediction.
Yeah, good. I think
I
we
did
did.
overestimate Max though.
Yeah, well, we did. I think
Yeah.
this race has been good, and we all had a really good race this weekend. Hopefully, the week next we're gonna have another beautiful race, and until then, bye guys. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.